Hi, welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. I'm Tobias. This here's Kitty. She's the production staff. We're going to get the show on the road in just a second. If you like what you see, don't forget to leave a comment, give it a big old thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Kitty loves to hear that bell ring. Thanks a lot. Stick around for the show. Should be a good one. Well, I got a new knife to show you. It's my very first Schatt Morgan Cutlery Company knife. Filing wire tested. Any case, this is the very first Schatt Morgan, like I said. Even though Schatt Morgan may be out of business now. I'm saying may because the trademark is still active, but as far as I know, no one is doing anything with it. Now, for those who are familiar with Schatt Morgan, at one time the Schatt Morgan trademark was owned by the folks who own Queen Cutlery, and the knives were made through Queen Cutlery. Well, Queen Cutlery folded a while back. At the time it folded, it was owned by the Daniels family. The trademark for Queen was picked up by Smoky Mountain Knife Works. However, they did not pick up the Schatt Morgan trademark. That is still owned by the Daniels family, and I'm hoping that that means that the Daniels family will be doing something with the Schatt Morgan cutlery trademark, and maybe they'll be doing something with Great Eastern or some other USA-made high-end pocket knife company to produce some more Schatt Morgan knives. I don't know. This particular one is a new old stock dating from 2010. And if you look at the paper there, well, let's pull it out so you can see it a little closer. You can probably guess what this knife is just looking through the paper and knowing my channel. Yeah, it is definitely a large toothpick. But not just any large toothpick. It is a toothpick that measures 5.5 inches long when closed. Now, most large toothpicks come in at 5 inches long, including most of the number 20 toothpicks that were made by Queen. And so here's what you see in comparison: 5 inches versus 5.5 inches closed. And when these two knives get opened up, the Queen comes in at just 9 inches long and kind of looks almost like a medium toothpick once you open up the Schatt Morgan, which comes in at 10 inches long. So that 1/2 inch in the handle makes all the difference once you pop those knives all the way open, because this one has a 4.5 inch blade and a 5.5 inch handle, making it 10 inches overall. This one just a puny 9 inches long. So let's take a look at this Schatt Morgan and get into a little more detail on it and what makes it so cool. So we can start here with the handles. And what you see in the covers here are what's known as worm groove bone. And I will be honest with you, worm groove bone is probably one of my least favorite jigging patterns, but I can at least appreciate it when it is done correctly, and Schatt Morgan knows what they're doing when they're doing worm groove bone. First of all, the coloring on the knife is really nice. I like the back side better than the front side, but even the front side still looks pretty good. You got the shield there, the Schatt Morgan trademark shield. That's a nickel silver shield. But the cool thing with the worm groove is when it gets to the end here, it actually lessens and it just flows out into the handle. So often what people will do with the worm grooving is they just take and make big thick gouges into the bone, and it's kind of blunt at the end and everything. It doesn't come out, it doesn't get shallower as it leaves the end. So this is really the way it would look if you were to find a worm groove in a piece of wood. That's what it's supposed to be like The wood has had worms dig through it, and then when you cut the wood open, you have the passages going through the wood where the worm had been. And often what you have is the path where the worm comes out, and that's what they've done with this. And that's why you have the darker areas in the bone. That's where the worm has been digging through it. And well, they just did a really good job with it. The handle is also nicely pinned. Yes, you can fill the pins that are in the recessed areas, but not where it is flush with the top of the bone. And the same thing with the shield. There are some spots on the shield where you can feel it because it is in the inside one of the grooves. Not a big problem. When you're holding the knife in your hand, it feels good. It's one of those, this is one of those because of all that deep texturing and everything. If you're holding it in your pocket or something, or if you're just rubbing it like a worry stone, it's going to feel really good to rub against. It's almost like the bone stag on this. It's got some really nice texture going on. So when you're rubbing against it, it feels good. Smooth bone is nice too, but sometimes you just want a knife with some really good texture. And this is definitely some good texture going on. On the end here, you have the triple ringed powder horn bolster, which is one of those type of bolsters that I really kind of like. I like it when they have the triple ring. When they have too many rings, more than 3 rings, it kind of gets a little too much for me. But I like the triple rings on the powder horns. I know a lot of people like a short powder horn with no rings or anything, and that is nice. But I kind of like the longer ones. Matter of fact, if you notice, this here is the case knife, case toothpick, which is 5.5 inches long. And that's something that also kind of caught me off guard because of this being 5.5 inches. At first I was thinking, well, maybe these knives were actually contracted out the case. But the more I think about it, because Case is no longer making large toothpicks, now I'm wondering if the 5.5 inch large toothpicks by Case were actually being contracted through Queen. And that's probably what the case was, or what the situation was, and that might be why Case has said they're no longer going to make large toothpicks. Anyway, back to the Schatt Morgan here. The other thing they've got up here is 2 wide threads, I guess, or rings, whatever you want to call them, on the top nickel silver bolster with a pinched end here, which is pretty nice too. And then, well, you've got the nice long California clip blade. And I tell you what, this thing is mirror polished, and it is super sharp. And it also has a really nice wedge going along the top there. And if you can see, well, maybe see because of the way it's polished, you see there S&M file and wire tested. This is in the file and wire tested series. And what the file and wire refer to is the way the blade is checked during the tempering process. Basically, they run a file along the blade, and if it skates off, then it's got a good temper. But more importantly, they also cut wire with the blade. I don't know what gauge wire they're cutting, but they also cut wire with the blade to see if it's going to chip and if it will cut the wire cleanly. So that's what they mean by file and wire tested. So you've got a pretty good blade going on with it. And there you have the tang stamp, Schatt Morgan Cutlery Company, Titusville, PA. And then on the back side, you again see F&W QC, so file and wire quality control, and the final marks you got on the back are right there. The year of production, 2010, followed by series number 5 hyphen Roman numeral 2, it looks like, and then pattern number is 041111, and the blade steel used, which is ATS 34. For those not familiar with it, ATS 34 is at one time was considered basically what high quality still. Definitely better than 440A. Matter of fact, it's considered a step above 440C. Has a, I think the Rockwell testing is around 60, 62, something like that. So it's a very hard steel. It rusts a little easier than 440A, but that doesn't really matter too much, as it was at one time considered top quality stainless steel, and it's definitely nothing to sneeze at these days. Yeah, overall, this knife is just fantastic. Well pinned. The fit and finish is just fantastic. You've got the brass liners, stainless steel back spring. Look at the matchup with the bone there. It is just as smooth as glass. And the bone is just so well sanded and polished. It's really amazing. Well, it's the quality you would have expected from Queen, if not better. And well, it's just a really excellent knife. Even the lineup on the blade is pretty good. It does favor the backside a little bit, but really, when you think about it, that is pretty close to dead center when you look at it. And obviously, once that blade is open, no wobble whatsoever. The pull on it's probably around a 4 or 5, which is typical on these large toothpicks. Yeah, just an amazing knife. Really happy that I finally managed to add a Schatt Morgan to my large toothpick collection. In any case, stick around for some slides.
One other thing before we begin the slideshow proper, apparently Schatt Morgan decided to call their large toothpick a daddy toothpick. I had not heard that before, but that's kind of pretty cool. So I guess it's kind of a takeoff of the Granddaddy Barlow, with this being larger than the standard medium toothpick. This is now the daddy toothpick, and kind of like that name.
If you really enjoyed the show and want to know what's coming up next, go ahead and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Kitty says hi. Talk to you again soon.